Okay, it's time to revisit and dig up some childhood traumas. I got this inspiration and idea, I blatantly ripped it off from a brilliant YouTuber, Your Movie Sucks, and he is one of my favorite YouTubers at the moment. He gives amazing critical analysis of some really terrible movies. So definitely go over. I'll leave the original video and the playlist that he's created down below, and he's asked other YouTubers to give their own kind of childhood traumas. And so I figured, hey, I've got something to talk about, so let's find out some moments of television or movies that really scared the living daylights out of me as a kid. So first up, it's really no surprise that Disney made it on this video, because there's a lot of points of Disney films that really scared the living bejesus out of me. Obviously, the end sequence of Fantasia with the Night on Bald Mountain, I had to leave the room as a kid, and it wasn't until a babysitter sat me down and said, "Oh no, they're just having a race, don't worry about it, they're all having fun," that I was able to kind of like force myself to watch it, because that was just really, really creepy. Obviously, there's also Pinocchio, but it wasn't with Monstro. I had no problem with Monstro. What really creeped me out was when Pinocchio and his buddy were turned into donkeys. And in fact, it was this sequence that really screwed me up.
See him now! Call that beetle! Call anybody! Mama!
But honestly, out of all of those, none of them could hold a candle to 101 Dalmatians. I don't know what it was, but there's the end sequence, the car chase with Cruella de Vil, where she's chasing down the dogs, where her car is just flying to pieces, and she's got these insane eyes coming on. This moment just really scared the crap out of me. Those eyes, man, those eyes would just I could see them in the night. I don't know what it was. Anyway, that really creeped the hell out of me. I think that one, more than almost any other thing from Disney, just really, for some reason, just really got to me. Moving away from the typical Disney films, when I was a kid, I loved Darkwing Duck. He was my man. Darkwing, DW, and Launchpad and Gosling, these guys were just, they were so ingrained as a part of my childhood. I loved the theme song, I loved everything about them, but there was one episode that really creeped me out. It was their spoof of Twin Peaks called Twin Beaks, where Bushroot kind of dies, and the beginning sequence where you see his dead body in that husk, it just creeped me out. I don't know what it was, seeing Bushroot being this dry husk of a corpse, and everybody's just kind of looking at it, and it's like, he's dead, guys! You're talking to a dead corpse there! That was creepy, but it wasn't as creepy as the dream sequence that Darkwing goes under, where he's knocked over the head and he is visited by the ghost or the corpse, that living animated corpse of Bushroot.
Look what they did to me! Who did what? What did...
Here's the thing that really creeped me out. He wasn't a ghost. He wasn't a zombie. He was this in-between thing. He calls right out to Darkwing. He's just look what you did to me. And that part just, it was so creepy to me. And I don't know what it was, but it was that uncanny valley. It still gets me every once in a while. I don't know, it was just really weird. So these next two things, I probably should not have seen when I did. So, funny story, when I was really young, I was being babysat from an uncle of mine from my dad's side. He was watching the movie Fire in the Sky. Now, Chris Stuckman has already done a video of this, and he had a very similar experience that I had with this film. So, this was another reason why I really wanted to do it, because I was the same thing. Now, here's the thing, though. I didn't see any of the build-up for this point. I was supposed to be asleep, but I couldn't sleep. So what I did was I went down to his living room, and I approached my uncle. I'm like, hey, can't sleep. Usually my parents let me watch a little bit of TV until I get tired, and then they, bring me upstairs. Can I do that here with you? He's like, yeah, sure, I'm just watching this really weird alien movie. Well, that particular moment was the final of, the finale of this film, where the guy wakes up and he's remembering everything, and it's all these aliens, and it's just so creepy and weird, and I had no context for it. It was just, ah! So yeah, imagine watching that when you're like 5 years old with no context, and it's just this guy that's getting experimented on by these really tripped out aliens. That was not fun. So yeah, good times. Next up is from the Terminator. Well, actually, it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I don't know what I was doing. I was trying to play The Land Before Time, and I had a very loose grasp on the alphabet, and I saw that The Land Before Time and Terminator started with T, and I'm like, hey, it's the same movie. I put it in, and it started right with Sarah Connor's dream sequence. It's this guy here. Now that alone is creepy enough. In my young naivety, I figured I could go to either my dad or one of my... he's kind of like a stepbrother, but not really. Like, my dad was involved with Big Brothers, and so his younger brother at the time, I asked him and my dad, I had a very loose understanding of nuclear weapons. And I asked them what it was all about, and they said, yeah, there's 3 parts to a nuclear weapon. There's the sonic boom, which like deafens you. There's the heat wave that like melts your skin off of your bones, and then you've got like that final blast of like energy, that kinetic boom. And that just terrified me, that concept. And the fact that it could just kill a lot of people all at once. And so, you know, again, to stave off my fear, I figured, okay, so now that I'm aware of it, because knowledge is the eliminator of fear, I have the knowledge. Why am I still afraid of this? And I'm like, oh, because I need reassurance that this isn't going to happen. So I asked my dad and his little brother, I asked, so, you know, bad guys don't have this, right? Now, this was in the mid-90s, and that was when it was starting to come about that a lot more superpowers within the world have nuclear weapons and are, you know, they're going to use them. And so, I don't remember who said it, but they said, oh yeah, bad guys have the bomb, and they're going to use it one day. The knowledge that at any moment my life could just end, and there was nothing I could do about it, that just really freaked me out. Like, I was living in constant fear for like a good 2 years because nobody sat me down and put that into context of, they have these weapons, but they'll never use it because that would start World War III. That still really screwed me up when I was a little kid. Not a fun time. Let's get back to some of the fun shows. Okay, so there were 2 shows that I loved and I looked forward to watching when I was a kid. The first one being Goosebumps. Goosebumps was a huge part of my upbringing and my childhood. It was what fostered a love for reading for me before Harry Potter did, which was like what solidified it for me. But Goosebumps it was just a really creepy, not scary, but creepy and weird kind of a show, and I loved every single episode and book as well. It was the first exposure that I had to the book was better. Like, that concept really developed within Goosebumps, where I would read the book and I would watch the episode and I'd be like, you know, the book was better. I like the book a little bit more. There were a few episodes in that really creeped me out. The first was The Haunted Mask. I loved this book and I loved the episode, but there was just something that really creeped me out. And it was more of the concept of putting on this mask and becoming a diabolical other person that you could not escape from. I mean, even as a little kid, I understood the concept of this outer substance coming through within your own will, like your own will and your own volition, that morphs and changes and taints you into something else, something evil, something diabolic, and then getting to a point where you realize what you've become, but you can't stop it. Like, that was really creepy to me.
What are you supposed to be?
I'm supposed to be mean, but I'm not. I'm supposed to be mean, but I'm not.
I mean, there was also the ending with the floating heads, but that didn't creep me out as much as the concept did. And then the other one that was really, really concrete was Welcome to Camp Nightmare. And that beast character, like that other beast thing, just really... That concept just creeped me out, because I did a lot of camping as a kid. I was in Scouts and Cubs and Beavers, and I did a lot of outdoor camping adventures, and so doing that, it really kind of hunkered home that concept. But there's one other thing, and this was touched upon both by Chris Stuckman as well as Your Movie Sucks, and that is, Are You Afraid of the Dark? There were 2 episodes on this that really terrified me. Like, not just scared me, but terrified me. Now, I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark? And it was one of those shows that I would look forward to every week that it came on. Just certain episodes really helped me be who I was. Like, there's the Tale of the Quiet Librarian, and there's the Tale of the Weird Babysitter or something like that. Like, the concept that you start a story and it starts to come alive, and the only way to stop it is by finishing the story. That really, again, fostered a love of reading for me. And there were a lot of really creepy episodes, but the 2 that terrified me came on back to back when I was watching them on YTV, the Canadian Nickelodeon. The first one was
The Tale of Old Man Corcoran.
This was a concept, or the story, of these 2 kids that were playing hide and go seek in a graveyard, and they come to realize that they're playing hide and go seek with these random kids that turn out to be kids that are buried in the graveyard. And that was the first real concept for me of death. Like, nothing really hit me hard that these kids were ghosts. These kids were no longer alive. That was the episode and the turning point for me to really realize death is a thing. Like, the concept of death hit home with this episode. And that really creeped me out. There was an episode that just terrified me. And that was
The Tale of the Full Moon.
This was a episode where the kid's mother starts dating this guy who the kid believes is just bad news. And the guy lives across the street, and he sees this shadowy figure across the street. And he's not quite sure what it was, but it looks terrifying. Like, it looks like a full-blown monster. And so when he's starting to do a little bit of research, he's realizing that this creature only comes out on full moons. And so he's starting to realize maybe this guy's a werewolf, right? Like, and so as a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, werewolf, good times, fun times. And so when we get to the big climax of the episode, they broke into the guy's house, and it's the point where the guy's friend is with him, like the kid's friend, and he's just like, does the guy have a brother?
Yeah, why? What difference does it make?
Because I think he has a twin brother.
And it's like the whole setup, like, it gets creepier and creepier and creepier, and then when you finally have this big build up to that final reveal, like, holy crap, that is terrifying. Like, that visual right there, it just really, like, I left the room. Why would you subject... Like, I feel like the creators found this most terrifying mask they could, and they're like, how do we build a story out of this? When we get to the end of the episode, they try to sugarcoat it, and they try to be like, oh, he's not scary, he's just misunderstood.
People can be so cruel. There's lots of different kinds of families, Jed. This is just one of them.
Yeah, no, that guy is terrifying. He is terrifying. I know you're trying to do this whole elephant man thing, like he's really this gentle soul, but when you look like that, when you look that terrifying, it was just why? They could have chosen something a little less scary for a kid. Jeez, that just, and I mean, the episode still ends with like this really upbeat, like, oh my gosh, we're having fun, I'm his best friend.
He finally got his dog.
But why did you have to bring it up into such a terrifying way? It could have been so much nicer. I don't know.
You're not scared?
I was at first, but I'm trying to understand, honey.
So yeah, that was really terrifying as a kid. I did not like that episode. And if it came on, I would be like, nope, not watching this one again. So yeah. Those are the things that terrified me as a kid. What were some of the things that terrified you as a kid? Leave those as well as clips of them down below because I'd love to find out. Also, check out Chris Stuckman's review as well as Your Movie Sucks. They provide a lot more insight than I'm able to do about some of the reasons why they terrified them. So check out those. I've left those down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.